May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. I came to bring fire to the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled. Do you think that I have come to bring peace to the earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. A household will be divided. Well, in the midst of unsettling news of divisions in our world, in our nation, I sure would much rather be hearing from the Jesus who speaks of healing divisions, of building up. But this is the one and same Jesus. Biblical scholars Bruce Molina and Richard Rohrbaugh point out that the earth here in our text this morning refers to an outdoor oven. To bring fire to the earth, they point out, refers to lighting this outdoor oven. So they contend this is an idiom for getting things started, to start things cooking. Perhaps we would say cooking with gas. Are we able to hear then these words of Jesus as eager to get things cooking constructively, rather than words of just tossing a firebomb to cause utter destruction? Can we hear these words more as a wake up? And what about that bringing of division and not peace? In the Gospel of John, Jesus tells us, I came that you might have life and have it abundantly, life in all its richness. We know Jesus is not all about division, but neither did he come only to bring peace, and certainly not only any false sense of unity. Jesus came to bring change to what had become the established status quo of who was in and who was out. Change in order to bring fullness of life for all people. And all change, even good change, means giving up, losing something in choosing another, valuing one thing over another. And even good change can cause grief and division in upsetting whatever status quo we are looking at. Jesus refers here to division between family members, not divisions between nations or races. And those who followed Jesus regularly found themselves confronted with conflict and division, often with their own family members. As Molina and Rohrbaugh note, alienation from family or clan could literally be a matter of life or death, especially for the elite, who would risk everything by associating with the wrong kind of people. And since the inclusive early Christian communities demanded just this kind of association across status lines, the situation depicted here is realistic indeed. Following Jesus meant questioning the religious, economic, and political status quo, It meant accepting as the Messiah an itinerant rabbi who hung out with the disreputable, one who accepted sinners, and one who preached a message of love and forgiveness. Following Jesus meant accepting as Messiah one who looked almost nothing like the warrior king expected. And to follow Jesus meant not only adopting new beliefs, but taking on a new way of living. To be a follower of this one who accepted and even honored the outcasts and those on the margin meant that one needed to do the same, rejecting the temptation of judging others and instead inviting them into our lives. Even those who differ from you, even, or perhaps especially, those who differ from you in terms of what they believe. So to follow Jesus meant taking on this new way of life and identity, often alienated from your blood relatives and family in order to form relationships with a new family, a family of fellow followers of Jesus. Some serious demands indeed. And what are the demands that we face today if we profess to follow Jesus? Especially when we fear others, what we consider others, when we fear that others have manipulated and twisted what it means to be a follower of Jesus, when we fear that they don't seem to hear Jesus' words the way we do. At the end of our passage here this morning, Jesus calls his hearers hypocrites. Hypocrites for interpreting the weather, but not the present time. And Professor Richard Davis wonders if perhaps Jesus would call us hypocrites for the disconnect between our technologies and our wisdom. We can measure and predict so many more phenomena today, he writes, so much more than 2,000 years ago, but we still fail to make sense of the here and now. The more we can measure things, he contends, the less discernment we seem able to have in the deep realities of life. Jesus calls us to pay attention to our particular time and our particular place. For he came that we might have life and have it abundantly, life for all. It is by, in, and through God's grace and love that we have much holy work to do. Amen.